Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Heard your
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Then
Yeah.
just we'll wait for a couple of minutes to see who else will join. Yeah. Then we'll
Okay.
start.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Hello, Srikanth. Hello, Arif. Ramesh, can you hear me now? Okay. Srikanth. Okay, fine, Srikanth. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes. By 5:10 we can start. We'll see who else will join. Hi, Sultana. Good evening.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Okay. Okay, guys. Good evening. So let's start. I think I'm audible, right? Just anyone can respond me in chat,
Yeah, audible.
right? So right. So we'll start. It's already 5:10. So as I think you have been communicated already that it's the demo session. Okay. So it will be short and crispy. So let's start the demo then. Okay. So what are we doing today? Right? I'm going to take you guys through, a demo session for SQL actually. Okay. So I just want to know your background. That means in terms of SQL. So you guys have any working experience with SQL, or you are new, or you have some knowledge?
Hello, this is Arif.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I'm working in Accenture.
Okay.
My background is ETL,
ETL.
ETL person. But
Okay.
so why I taken this course means I wanted to know more knowledge. I want to gain more knowledge on SQL.
Okay.
So our background is everything is based on SQL,
Yeah.
as you know. So I want to gain more knowledge.
Understood.
Yeah. So actually, you were saying this is a demo session. So
Yeah,
from
it's good.
actual class from when I will start like tomorrow or else,
Actually, I will take you through demo. It will have two options, like one is for fast track and one is for regular course. So based on your choice, we will plan. Okay.
okay.
That will be sharing at the end of the demo. Okay. Just want to know your expectation. So you are working in ETL and you want to, mm,
Hmm.
enhance your knowledge on SQL, right? That's what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
expectation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, may I know others if anyone want to share your expectation, like your knowledge level and expectation in SQL. It will be good to understand actually.
Yeah, Rama, I
Anyone?
have knowledge on that, but I didn't
May I
get
know
the
who is
chance.
speaking actually? Sorry.
Adinarayana.
Adnan, please go ahead. Adnan, yeah.
Yeah, knowledge on that, but I am not working on SQL.
Okay,
Yeah,
uh, got it. So Sultana or Srikanth or Ramesh, anyone?
I'm a fresher in this field. Right now, I'm learning the Snowflake. In that, we use SQL also. So I'm choosing SQL process.
I'm very sorry. Actually, the whoever is speaking, I will not get the name because I'm sharing
It's
the
Ramesh. It's
presentation.
Ramesh.
Ramesh, right? Yeah, that's help. That will be helpful. Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
So, and I got it actually, Ramesh. Yeah, what you're trying to say. Okay, so I think Srikanth and Sultana I know, are also having. I'm thinking that also they are also having the same expression, like they want to learn SQL or they want to enhance their knowledge, or you know. So two things will happen. One, if you don't have the SQLs, you can learn SQL here. If you have some knowledge or experience in SQL, you can enhance your skills also. So that we will do. So now I will take you through. the demo of the SQL actually. Okay, so
Okay.
let's start. First of all, let's let me begin with myself to introduce myself. So my name is Ram Mohan actually. So I'm having 12 years of experience in working with the MNC in Bangalore. Okay, so I started my career as a developer, as everyone will do, right? Into front end and back end technologies, into Java and Microsoft.NET and a lot of other stuffs also. So in 12 years, I have been working with SQL as the backend for for product developments and application developments and web developments and as well as for data analytics. So in all my 12 years, I have been working with SQL for every day, almost every day. Okay. So now I'm working as a solution architect in the same organization where I joined 12 years before. So now what you will get out of this SQL session from me, right? If you are looking for an easy and fast and efficient way to master SQL, then you are absolutely at the right place, because we will I will more concentrate on the expectation level from your side, so that I will take you to that place actually. So if you are a fresher in SQL, then you will get the knowledge and experience as well. Practical experience, I mean to say. You have some understanding of SQL, I will take you through the you know advanced SQL concepts where industry is using now. Okay. So what is SQL actually? Maybe some of you might know it, or maybe you would have heard from someone, or you would have read from the web or something. So I just want to give my opinion on that. This is actually my opinion. Okay. So here, if you see, the three letters were highlighted. One is data and database and manipulation. So these things we will do basically using SQL. So SQL, being a SQL, it will be used in many RDBMS applications like Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server. Lot of almost 13 to 14 databases are there, where SQL is the actual the language which will talk with database. So what is SQL means? It's a language which is talking with the database. So what it will do while talking with database is it will manipulate it. That means it will add the records, or it will change the behavior of the record. It may delete it. So this is the language which will communicate with database. So here, if you see, what is SQL? So it's basically to manipulate the data stored in the server. That is called structured query language. Is one of the this is SQL is one of the earliest known database management systems, which is doing data storage and data collection and data retrieval. These are the three tasks of any database management system. One is storage, retrieval, and collection. Okay. So if you use SQL, we have SQL and no SQL standards also right now in the market. Okay, to process the database, that means to talk with the database. If you want to talk with the database, you cannot speak it in your own language. That's why we have people have introduced the native language which can understand with database. Well, that is called SQL. SQL is one of the oldest technique which is talking with database, and now we have no SQL standards also. That's different. That's not part of this course. Okay, so as we are talking about know learning the SQL, right? So what are the advantages of SQL having when compared with other database management systems? Okay, SQL is very higher processing speed. SQL actually operates with a high speed when users are talking with database. That means exploring the database. When you call exploring means either you can read the data, or you can insert the data, or you can modify the data. So out of three operations, SQL actually the one engine which will process these operations in a high speed actually. Okay. If you would have seen charts published by most of the organizations, like what is the processing speed taken by each programming language. Every year they will publish what is Python, how much time it will take C sharp, how much time it will take Java, how much time it will take likewise SQL, how much time it will take. So SQL is one of the top 5 languages which will process the data in a high speed. That's why one of the advantages of SQL is why most of the organizations are going with SQL for data analytics or data processing or data storage or data retrieval, because of higher processing speed. Okay. Next, when you are talking with database, right? So it should have its own language, it should have its own grammar and syntax, right? So you have to write something so that it will understand. That is called, that we call it as coding actually. So SQL, why SQL has become very famous, because it it will have minimal coding requirement. When you see other languages which will talk with database, and then when you compare it with SQL, with the minimum coding, you can do the job. That's why SQL become the best, language from very long time. And the third one, it's easy to manipulate the data. Okay. That means manipulation means processing the data. You can insert or modify or delete it, right? So it have very, simple syntaxes in SQL, so that it is very easy to manipulate the data, like update commands or insert commands or delete commands. Okay. And fourth advantage, first, it will process very quickly, right? And with less code, right? And it is easy to manipulate the data, right? So the three advantages. Then the fourth one, easier data mining. This is the most, crazy concept which is driving SQL to other fields also. That is called data mining, right? So I hope you would have heard about blockchains recently and cryptocurrencies, right? Bitcoins, a lot of other stuff, right? So the crazy stuff is going in the market. So when you actually look into blockchain as a technology, data mining is the one of the pillar of the blockchain technology. So where also data mining means nothing but you have to find something. Suppose mining, two ways you can do. One, you will have a task and you will have a place. You have to constantly mine it so that you will find the prescribed item. That is the first thing. Second thing, you went to the empty field, you have given the equipment to mine. As soon as you are digging it, you may find anything, right? Because you don't have the prescribed task. So these two ways data mining will be done in blockchain. So SQL is the actual language which is helping data miners to find the prescribed task, or to find the unknown hidden task in a quick time, because the processing speed is very low. That's why data mining SQL is being used in data mining very effectively. If you, I will tell you, if you are actually, if you become very good at SQL, you can do your own data mining and you can earn your own money also in blockchains, right? And the fifth one, sorry, restricted access. Okay, now you have a database, so you have to provide the safety and security. So when compared with other languages which will talk with database, when it comes to SQL, which is the one which actually is provide the best security to safeguard your database. That is how and all we will see in the course actually. Okay? And actually, the fifth one, very, all are important points, but the fifth one, why it became more important for me is like, you are processing the data, right? You are trying to process the data by writing some code in SQL. But how sure you are that it will be, you can rely on that language actually, right? You ask the SQL to update a record, but how sure you are that it actually updated the actual record which you want to do, right? That is called reliability. That means trusting someone. So reliability for complex queries, you have been, you started your journey with SQL, you started writing small queries to bigger queries, and the business requirement, based on the business requirement, right? So sometimes you will end up with writing complex queries, more than 10 to 15 lines in a stored procedure, right? What actually we usually will do. So when we are doing data mining and all, so you have written a complex query and you executed it on the server. So whether it performed the actual job or not, right? So you can verify by going to tables and all. So whether it is actually did or not, that is called reliability. So SQL is actually one of the best language you can rely on it. When you process the complex queries, it will process it high speed with the minimum coding requirement, right? And and your work is done. That is called reliable for complex queries. Okay, when it compared with other DBMS systems or other languages, SQL is more reliable. Now, what actually SQL is used for? Just this is as a demo session. I will go. I will given some hypothesis on these things, which actually we will talk in very deep level in course, and as well as we will practice also, right? So typically SQL, what it will do, right? DTL, Actually, you would have heard the terms DDL, DCL, DML, blah blah, lot of other things, right? So I just generalized here. So what SQL is used as, one is to do DDL, that means data definition language, right? So it actually, what it will do, it will actually will define and modify the structure of the data. That is one task. SQL, what it will do, it will define and modify the structure of the data. Okay. Example, the commands for DDL are, like for add you will use insert command, and for remove you can use delete command. To modify you will use update commands, right? So it will provide, SQL is used as a data definition language in certain times when required, right? Like that, SQL is used as data control language also. Like controlling means restricting someone, or providing the security or someone, right? Providing the access, right? So SQL will use as data control language also in terms of you know mm, giving the privileges by using grant commands, and revoking the privileges using taking back the privileges using revoke commands, right? So these are all the classic examples of DCL, that means data control language. So when required, SQL will be used as data definition language to modify or remove or add the data. If required, it will be used as data control language, right? So we can provide the security for the database. And now, if required, SQL is used as data manipulation language also, right? So that means to do the changes to the database, right? So in terms of uh, inserts, updates, and deletes, sometimes data manipulation involves removing the table completely, dropping the tables also, right? Sometimes dropping the databases also, right? So this will comes under DML, data manipulation language. It will purely based on the context of how you are using SQL and what context you are going to use for. So SQL in the context will be used as data definition language, and as well as control language and manipulation language. Now when it comes to the fourth, which actually I added based on my experience, right? So where these three you will get it from books or somewhere you can read it, but when it comes to real-time programming, right? So what is the other place SQL will be used as, right? So when it comes to client server language, like structuring internet architecture, if you talk about what it will talk about that, right? So let's say, what is client server architecture? I will just give a bit on that. Maybe you would have know about that, or maybe not. I'm exactly not sure. So out of my experience, I'm completely working on client server architectures, right? So you'll have a web UI or desktop UI, or APIs. You will be having APIs as a UI, right? So in Angular and React and other languages also. So there it is called client, right? So actual data will be stored in the server side, right? So the client has to talk with server, and the server has to respond back. This is called client server architecture typically, right? So there will be a front-end languages to do the task, like Java, C Sharp, Python, and as well as, right, Angular and all. So that is called front-end languages. When it comes to back-end languages, that is called, what back-end language you I'm working with from 12 years is SQL. So in the back-end, we need to the UI need to talk with database, right? So to do something, to retrieve the records, suppose as soon as you are logging in, to verify the details or pull your records. So these are all things has to be done by backend language. That is called SQL. So SQL is nothing but, SQL is sometimes will be used as client server language also, in my perspective, and most of the people, architects, will think like that. And so now SQL is used in these four places based on the context actually. Okay. So in three-tier architectures and entire architectures, backend language will become the SQL actually. So where what not, SQL will be used nowadays everywhere, like application developments, web application developments, or desktop application development, APIs developments, mobile developments, right? Data mining, as we just discussed about data mining in the form of blockchain, right? So data analytics. So a lot of things being done by SQL. So if you will become a good you know developer or architect at SQL, we have a lot of opportunities at outside, because right now the market is for who are more working to data itself, data mining and data analysis. So now I just spoke bit about that, right? The scope also. So now we will extend more onto that scope. So the scope and applications of SQL, right? So where are where all the places SQL can be used, like for backend development, as you just talked about, like database administration. SQL will also be used to administer. That means, as just we talked about data control language, right? So g- giving the safe security to the database. In SQL can be used to provide a security for the database, like that is called nothing but database administration, and as well as SQL. Where else? Data analysis actually. So if we have to do the analysis, someone the language you pick it, like you have to do analysis on a language. That means you have given an Excel sheet of data, right, or in some flat files, or in database. So someone asks you to do the analysis. What actually you will do the analysis? So if you have to do the analysis, you need to have a right engine to do the analysis. First point, right? So you need to have a proper language which will talk to the database, right? And third one, it should be reliable. It should be actually high, high speed. Actually, it should be um, high speed, as well as reliability should come, and minimal coding should come. So these are all requirements. When you think about SQL, is the one which is the best language in the market now, which is helping people to do the analysis on more on the data actually. So I think you guys know the importance of data nowadays, because we are working in internet world and we are living here. So everything is data, right? Data is the actual asset which is going to rule the world, internet world in future. So so if someone has to put the business, if someone want to put the business, or if someone want to enhance his business, so what he has to do, he has to see how the people are you know responding, or what people are looking for. So for that, what you have to do, you have to do the data analysis. You have to classify the people based on the ages, right? So you have to see what their requirements. So everything data will be there. You have to do the proper analysis. For that, you need a proper engine that is called SQL right now in place, and as well as data science and data analysis, or which is like a twin brothers, right? So data science, you will be hearing this word very commonly in the market nowadays, right? So what data scientist will do? So data scientist is not a simple term. Data scientist, sometimes he will do data analysis, right? So sometimes he will do data processing, sometimes he will do data collection. So data scientist can has to do any job. Sometimes he has to do data analytics with SQL. Sometimes he has to do data processing with SQL. Sometimes he has to do further more analysis on that. Sometimes he has to do algorithms on that. So that is a job of a data scientist. So how SQL will be do? SQL will be used in data science actually, right? So to prepare the data models. So data scientists basically what they will do, they will when they're doing as a analyst, that means data analyst, what they will do, they will prepare a suitable data model, right, to be used for that analysis. So they generally, use algorithms. They will prepare algorithms actually, and then they will code in SQL to produce the results. There actually we will SQL will be used to derive the results. So now comes to the interesting thing, like okay, we are talking about SQL, where it will be used and how it will be used, where can be used, right? So what are the real life examples where SQL being used? Eh, Frankly speaking, in every company, whatever the project you are working for, right? So whatever the client you are working for, 90% of the projects, they will use SQL as the backend. Okay. So in real case scenarios, even Netflix, LinkedIn, Amazon, Flipkart, Instagram, and Uber for data analytics, and even small companies, let's say someone want to start a company and he want to do a project, and he want to store the data somewhere. So he will store in a database, and the language which will comes next, which will comes next to the mind is SQL, because it's very easy to learn, and it is very easy to do the programming also. So SQL is everywhere. So this is a as a demo, I just taken you guys through about what is SQL and where can be used, and how it can be used, right? So this is actually about the course content, right? So this is a regular course content which I'm training a lot of people from very long time, from 5 to 6 years, right? So this is the same format I'm using, because as a real time I have 12 to 13 years real time experience, so I know where to start and where to end, and how to take the people to the actual destination, right? So it will be more of practical sessions than the theoretical sessions actually. So uh, this is the actual regular course content, I think, which will be shared to you guys separately, right? So I just go through each module, in a high level now. So we'll begin with actually talking about, databases, a lot of databases like SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, and Portuguese SQL. So I will talk about most of the databases available in the market, and okay, I will just give you a brief on those. Then I will talk about actually what is relational database management system, that is called RDBMS. What is actually relational database management system, right? So that those things I will take you through, and then I will take you through normalization. Maybe you know. Mm, the third thing is normalization, which is very important. Like, I suggest based on my experience, if someone want to become an expert in SQL, it's better he should have some understanding about normalization. Otherwise, okay, directly you can go for data types and all, but if you see what is actually fourth normal form, what is third normal form, and what is bias code normal form, then you will understand how data is classified, how data has to be classified. So these principles you will get when you go through normalization. So that I will take you through in day one actually. So introduction to databases and talking about RDBMS core concepts which is required, and talking about normalization principles. I will take you through one by one out of three principles. Okay, then we'll get the clear idea, like how data is actually evolved, how people started classifying the data, then how RDBMS became into picture. So you will get a good idea on that. Then in the next step, I will take you through, as it's a language, right? So a language will have its own grammar, right? Every language, English or any other language, will have its own grammar. So if you want to learn the language, you should learn the grammar first, right? So starts from alphabets, then sentences, then verbs. So what is noun? So these are all things you should learn. So likewise, any language, not only SQL. If you go for Java or C Sharp, anywhere, you should, if you want to learn that, you should learn the grammar first and alphabets, these things, right? So that's why we'll talk about data types, right? So what actually data types are there in SQL, then um, keys, what type of keys and constraints, then some DDLs and like insert, update, delete, and DML concepts. I will take you through in day one, and the day two, sorry, and day three. Actually, we start actually looking into data analysis. Actually, data analysis, like this is the second step. Insert, update, deletes actually will do data manipulation, right? So but if you want to do data analysis, you should be more working with select queries, right? Because you want to analyze and you have to retrieve the results. So from third day, we are actually jumping into writing the queries, right? And talking about what actually select will do, how to use it, and what is order by. So I will take you through everything which is there in this presentation, right? Limit between, like, and all. So by the end of third day, the expectation would be you will be having some idea of SQL and writing the queries also, right? Generating the results. Then from fourth day, actually it will become more harder. So because we are jumping into the typical concepts of SQL, where most of the people, 95% of the people, where the people will fail writing the queries or taking the help from the Google or somewhere, even though they cannot understand. Okay, you can, if you want to write a group by statement, you can get the help from Google. I typically will actually see these scenarios in market, in my office also. They will write the query, it will give the results, but they cannot understand it. They even don't know what actually it's doing. That is because group by has its own complications. You should understand in a granular level, then only you will understand. Then group by, when it comes with aggregate functions, it will become more difficult. Then group by coming with having, it will become more difficult. Yes, you can get the help from others and you can get the help from Google, but the expectation is of this course is you should write the query in your own, right? So you can get the, nowadays if you Google it, like, what is the second maximum salary, ready-made answers are there. People are by hiding it and giving it to the people actually, right? So which is not correct. You should be able to write the query, because getting the second highest salary, you can write it in many ways actually. But if I ask someone in the interview, people will say the same answer. Okay, so group by with having, actually the hard concept we'll cover in fourth day with real-time examples and as well as practice sessions also. Then fifth day, actually the core concept of SQL, where people always will read the books day by day, but they cannot understand, or they will still fail to write the queries, right? So that is called joins. So we will talk about all the joins, what is actually the difference between each join, and then how to write it. So I will make it easier for you to write, joins after this session. Then that is for joins. I have given 2 days actually. If you see, it's for 2 days, right? So because that is that much important it is. I know what is importance of joins. It is very important to understand the joins. Otherwise, you cannot write anything. You will not write anything in SQL. That's why I have given 2 days with practice sessions. Then we'll go for advanced SQL, much more advanced SQL, right? So because you started knowing the SQL, you learn the data types, you learn DMLs, DMLs and DDLs. Then you have written some queries in joins, so you will be a bit confident on that. Then I will take you through advanced SQL, where advanced SQL things like working with the date times, timestamps, mathematical functions, string functions, and conversions, like one data type to another data type, and how to write the self joins. Why actually we have to write the self join? Because self join is the place where actually data analysis, most of the people will use self join. So you should learn self gen very well, right? Then sub queries, that means writing a query inside the query. So that I will take you to for 2 days actually. That's why I given 2 days. Then after that you will be much more confident, right? Then I will take you through some conditional expressions, right? About switch statements and all, in usual in programming language, right? If else statements, switch statements, right? So do well statements, these kind of conditional expression. That means if it happens like this, then do this, else we'll do this. So this is called conditional expressions. So how to write conditional expressions in SQL, right? I will take you through in one day. Okay. Then after that, I will take you through actual programming of SQL, right? So which is called stored procedures, views, and indexes, right? So I will take you through what is system defined stored procedure and what is UDF's user defined stored procedure, and how you will actually write a stored procedure and why exactly we need to write a stored procedure, right? So these are all things I will take you through by taking an example, and I will be writing the procedures, and I will be giving assignments to you also. So you will come to know how to write a procedure, and what is the actual advantage of procedure and how to write it, right? So and views. So what is the difference between stored procedure and views? Maybe some of you guys would have know about the difference, but you will get to know in the course, like much more, like then the last day I will take you through functions, right? Like again, system different functions, and user different functions, how you will actually write a function, and what is the difference between function and stored procedure, and blah blah blah. So typically these kind of questions will come in interviews. So, people will ask what is the difference between function and stored procedure, right? So likewise, I will be taking through those differences and what exactly a function, how to write it, and all. Then I will take you through triggers. Triggers means a lot of triggers are there: before trigger, after trigger, on trigger, right? These kind of things. So where exactly what kind of trigger you have to write, so what is the requirement and what you have to do. So those things I will be taking you through the example, right? um, so by that time you will be having good knowledge on triggers actually. So this is actually the course plan for a regular course content, right? That means every day 2 hours per each day. So we'll be talking about practical examples, then questions, what actually people will ask the questions, and uh, advanced SQL for data mining, what kind of things we have to do. So these kind of things we will be talking in this session in regular course. The same course, the same content, which will not be any difference actually, was made for the people who are actually want to learn quickly, right? So which we designed as a fast track course. This is for 13 hours. So typically it will take 2 to 3 days. That means let's say 3 to 4 hours per day. So we'll finish it up. The same thing, concept will be same, but as you know, the difference will be for regular course and fast track. Fast regular course will be spending more time and we'll be talking more on much examples. Content will be same, but here practical examples will be less actually. So you have to do mm, you have to do more practice in this course. So
Sir, am I audible, sir?
yeah, you're audible. Please tell the name and go ahead, please.
Sir, Srikant, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Actually, in jobs, everybody is asking. In interviews also, everybody is asking. Can you able to solve the complex queries of SQL
Right,
like
right.
that? So, am I going to achieve after this
Yeah,
coaching, sir?
definitely. So that is one of the primary target of this session also. So when we because for each concept I will be taking you with an example. Those examples to as you are working professional or aspiring to be professional. So I know if we go with a simple example, it won't work it out, right? So it won't be helpful. So I will be taking you complex scenarios only. So you will get to know how to solve it actually, right? So to solve, see, first thing, anyone can ask any requirement in SQL, right? So that might be complex or more complex or easy. So anything you can do in SQL, right? If they ask that one, but how actually you can do. One thing is if you will be the the strongest guy in the basics, which I will be taking through this course, then definitely you can write anything, because fundamentally you have to get the idea. If someone asks the requirement, suppose let's say I have asked the requirement, so fundamentally you have to frame the idea in your mind. To frame the idea, you should know the language very well. So immediately you will get 3 to 4 ways to solve it, and then you will pick the best example, right? So if you have to do that, you have to go through these basics thoroughly, like joins, group by, and aggregate functions and mathematical ones. If you go through it properly and if you practiced well, then you can solve anything in SQL. Actually, there won't be any complex problems. Actually, people, they will say complex problem, but it is a problem actually. If you don't know the basics, it will be complex for you, right? So if you know the basics, you can solve it very quickly. Okay, so this is actually content, and this is actually the demo content which I have using from very long time. So you guys have any questions, like and SQL, what typical I will say, if you practice SQL very well, so you have to know the concepts very well. Then the key point in SQL is you have to practice very well. SQL is the actual language. If someone speaking about SQL or teaching the SQL, right, it will be, you will think that it will be very easy to learn, right? Yes, because you can understand very well SQL, but SQL is the actual thing. You have to do more practice. When you put your fingers into the board and if you start writing the query, then you will actually know the pain of SQL. When you are listening, it will feel very easy, but you have to practice very well. You have to practice every day. Out of when we are doing this course, right? So every day I will give some assignments and some examples I will solve in front of you. Some I will give assignments. You have to practice it, and then the next day, if you are unable to do it, I will give you the answer. So practice well. Then SQL will be in your fingertips. You can play with the data seriously. If you if you are having problem with SQL, and if you have given the job of data analyst or data scientist, or some some developer like SQL TSQL developers in my MS SQL Server, or Oracle developers or Snowflake developers, if you're not good at SQL, then it will be a problematic for you.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So the main aim of this course is not to not only to give the theory knowledge for you people. Actually, I know, because I am a working professional, I know what exactly you need. So the main aim of this course is, after this course, you guys should be able to write the medium to complex level queries on your own. That is the target of this course. It will be more of practical oriented course actually, instead of talking about theory.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yes, guys, please ask. Feel free to ask the questions if you have any.
Arif speaking here. Can you hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear. Tell me, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Full course means at what timings it will be?
That will work it out directly with you people. Like now how it will work, because from last 5 to 6 years, how I will design the courses. I have given the demo. We'll take the inputs from you guys individually, right? So what you prefer, either fast track or full course. If you people say full course, then we'll talk with individual, and we'll find the best suitable time for everyone actually.
Okay. Actually, my shift starts from morning 11:30,
Yeah, understood.
and it ends to 9 to 9:30. Maybe it can extend sometimes. So for me, my feasible timing will be like in morning hours only.
Understood. We will talk. We'll communicate with you
Yeah.
directly, and then we'll work it out. We'll find the best time for which will suitable for everyone. It will be based on the people's interest. Like maybe people will join into demos and later they will decide, right? So let's. You people will decide. Yeah, decide and let us know so that we'll work with you directly and we'll find the best time and we'll take from there. Yeah.
Okay. Understood. I am a data analyst only.
Yeah. That's good. Data analyst, right? Yeah.
Yeah, data analyst facing so many problems.
It will be there. It's a data, right? So it will have problems. Yeah.
Sir, if SQL is going to is it if it is useful for data analysis and data scientist, then why the Python has emerged as the no, nowadays everybody is talking scientists, data scientists or analysts about Python. I just want to know where the SQL ends, the Python starts.
Python is a
There
programming
must,
language actually. Okay. Python
yeah,
will not talk with data directly. Python cannot talk with data directly, right? So Python is a programming language. It will talk with interfaces and web servers. If you have to talk with database, you have to have the SQL. Even if you are having a Python, Python cannot talk with database directly. Python has to talk with SQL by using some drivers, JDBC drivers. Then SQL will talk with database.
okay, okay, okay.
And even
And
data science is a technology, right? It's a motion. So even not only Python, even R, you'd have heard the language called R.
yes, yes,
R is also very famous in data science nowadays, right?
yes,
So
yes.
these are front-end languages for data science, right? So, but these languages cannot talk with data directly, right? So they need to talk with some guy in between, which can talk with database. That is called SQL.
Okay, okay, sir.
So
And
SQL is enhanced in many ways. See, and when I'm talking here about SQL, I'm talking here as PLSQL or TSQL or some MySQL, because SQL is the core where people has taken it and enhanced it. Microsoft enhanced it and added some more things, which is become TSQL, Transit SQL, and Oracle added some more flavors. It became PLSQL, and MySQL added some more flavors. So SQL is the base actually.
okay, sir. And then another thing is, I just heard on you can earn money by using blockchains or that's
Yeah,
first
data
time I'm
mining, correct?
hearing it. Yes,
Data
first time
mining.
I'm hearing it. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Can you just elaborate it for a few seconds?
Okay.
Because I am hearing it for the first time, so
Yeah.
I'm just
This
curious.
this is actually thing which is happening in the world. See, blockchain is a technology. Here, nothing else we are talking about. Blockchain is a technology, right? So when you do a transaction in blockchain, actually it will be stored in nodes. Okay. So someone developed, suppose I developed a blockchain, right? My organization developed a blockchain. So when the transaction is happening, it will happen in Hyperledger framework actually, which is by using Golang. So okay, let me tell you like this. Okay, now you have a bank account, right? So if you store money in backend code, it will be stored in backend database, right? In nowadays technology, like the backend can be SQL Server or Oracle, or as you someone told, like Snowflake technology can be used, and or mainframe can be used, right? So it will be stored directly into there, and will be retrieving from that. But when it comes to blockchain, the the transaction details and the amount will be stored in different nodes, not at a single place. It will be segregated into many nodes. So now I need someone who actually has to see the framework ledger actually. That means Hyperledger framework, which is a ledger what happened from morning to evening. How many transactions were happened? So in what nodes it has placed the data. So to to do the detail, to know the details, we need someone who will actually do the mining into that. So that is called data mining. So that the people who will do that is called data miners, and they will be paid. It will take time. It is not an easy thing like it will do in 5 to 10 minutes. People will spend hours together uh, individually, who is having some good internet and good system. They can start doing the data mining and they can earn actually.
Okay.
It's just like finding the nodes where the data is placed.
Okay.
Because I did a transaction. If you see, if you do some transfer in your account from PhonePe or in bank account, right, it will go to the receiver send, and who will give confirmation actually here? Suppose you transferred from A bank to B bank, right? So A bank will initiate the transaction, it will go to B bank, and B bank will respond that I got the money. Then it will give response back to A bank, and A bank will give it to you message, even at a phone pay, okay, transaction successful at bank, right? So who is giving the confirmation here? Either A or B has to do it, right? B will give to A will give confirmation to customer. But in blockchain, no one will give the confirmation, right? So someone has to verify the transaction is authentic or not. That job is called data mining.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So,
Understood, sir.
yeah. So anything else anyone want to ask? Question? Please feel free to ask me. I think no one has the questions, right? Arif is trying to ask something.
Yeah, nothing from mine. Just I wanted to tell you one thing. As I said, you I'm a data analyst and I have 3 to 4 years experience. So I want to learn more on this. So that's why I have taken this course.
Yeah, understood. Arif. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got your expectation already.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. We'll talk, Arif, and we'll plan the times, and we'll see what the response from other guys who attend the demo and what times will suit. We'll find the best suitable time for everyone. Not a problem. Yeah.
okay.
So thank you guys. Thank you for joining the demo. I hope you enjoyed the demo. Please share the feedback if anything is there. Okay, and please feel free to respond back if you want to join the course. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys. Enjoy the weekend. Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
You can stay, please.